Hello, welcome to another pen talk. Thanks for watching. We're looking at a box of another Pilot pen. If we flip it over, we'll see that this is a pen that's been talked about quite a lot on the internet. I bought this on Amazon. The price was great. This is not a pen I had any experience with, and is a low-cost pen. I'm always looking for how they work, how they're put together, what makes them special. So if we take this one out of the box, you'll notice there's an instruction manual. It's actually in English, so one would assume that this is the American version of this pen, and also the inventory label was all in English. Nice presentation box. Again, for a less than $15 pen, it's certainly nice. The cover is hinged and just flips over. It's nice how they stick a cartridge in here. And this is the pen. I really wanted the black version without any details in the shiny section here. So I don't really have a matte black pen, so another reason of any that I need another pen. You know, the Pilot is printed on the back. We have Japan stamped on the clip and Pilot on the other side. Nicely done. Yeah, it's a decent clip. It's just a pull-off cap. The section of the pen, very similar to this other section on the barrel, is just a shiny black plastic. It's a little bit narrow section, kind of similar to the 78G, which we'll compare it to a little bit later on. Yeah, it's a nice looking nib. I've heard it writes extremely well, so we'll have to check that out when we get to the writing section. It works fairly well in the hand without posting, but it's a very light pen, so posting certainly adds to it, and I think I would write with this pen posted. Very good balance. It feels good in the hand. It doesn't feel like an inexpensive pen. It has a certain quality feel to it, which is nice, and the matte finish also feels nice to the hand. I'm not a fan of this shiny band, but they do a lot of decoration in here, so I guess that where it works out. It comes with their low-end aerometric filler. You know, just depress the bar to compress the bladder, and then you let it go and it pulls up ink. You know, this is a filling system that's been around in pens for almost 100 years, if not longer. There's no lever. Obviously, this is a lot easier to manufacture than actually putting a lever into the barrel like the vintage pens, which I'm so fond of. So what I thought I'd do is just take a look at it relative to a 78G, which is not sold in America. I got these overseas. And I also thought I'd bring out two more Pilots, which are in a similar price point. You know, here's a more classic Japanese packaging with an outer sleeve. And this is a very slim pen called Cavalier. And then here's another pen, Japanese pen, that probably is not sold in this country and may not be sold at all anymore. I just love the finish. It was inexpensive, under 20 bucks and a few dollars to get it shipped here. You know, opens up a very similar plastic presentation box, similar to the Cavalier. And I think the Metropolitan, they really did an excellent job on that packaging for such an inexpensive pen. Yeah, it just has a nice, they call this stone. And I haven't inked it up or written with it. It's one of those ones that'll sit there for a while. So this is an unscrew cap, which is not typical for an inexpensive pen. This one pulls off. This one also pulls off. And this one pulls off. As you can see, very similar size nibs, and for this type of price range, you'd expect that. Barrels are similarly in length. As I mentioned before, the Metropolitan is slightly larger than the section on the 78G. This one is a slim pen, so that's going to have a smaller section on it, and this one is more of a standard type section. A lot of people have said these nibs can be exchanged. I haven't tried that. Maybe that's for another time. But as we can see, the feed is identical on the back end, and the nibs certainly look like they can be exchanged. This is what's called the broad nib on the 73G. I wrote with it for a while. The pen just really didn't work for me. I think it's much too light. You know, it didn't have any interesting characteristics to write with. And if you also compare it to the stone pen, I like the fact that the section on the stone pen is the same type of finish as the barrel and cap. Again, it's a very similar nib. You know, the fact that they may have a gold tone to them, I don't think changes how the nib is actually made, and they may have some different imprinting on them. And I'd like to give a shout out to a fellow YouTuber, Tokyo Pen Shop. Unlike some of the other pen reviewers, I do watch almost every review that I think has any interest to me on YouTube, and I enjoy the input that we get from all the people who contribute. Tokyo Pen Shop did an excellent review comparing this pen to the Pilot Cocoon, which is only sold outside of America. Basically the same pen, different coloring. She found a variation in the nibs, which I thought was interesting. And also the nib choices are different to the different geographies. So if you're interested in this pen and you've looked at the Cocoon like I have in the past, but I have not been motivated to acquire one, that video would be quite interesting.
This is the Amazon purchase that I made for the pen that I'm doing the review on. Goulet Pens has a lot of varieties of the Metropolitan, so if you're interested in the different colors, this is the Metropolitan on eBay to give you some idea of what's available. And this is the Cocoon on eBay. As you can see, it is more expensive. And Amazon does handle both types of pens, which is interesting considering the Cocoon is not sold in the States.
To me, a pen that's as black as this pen needs a black ink. You may recognize the bottle, but certainly not the label or the ink inside of it. I have a large 3-ounce, or I think it's larger than that, bottle of Noodler's Bulletproof Black, which I love as black ink. It's the best black ink that I've used, and I've used it in many pens, and it all works great. It's also bulletproof, so it's long-lasting, indelible, whatever you want to call it. And I got some of these empty bottles from NJK when I made a purchase a while ago, so they were free. So let's ink this puppy up. Just going to insert it in there, do a couple compressions to get a decent amount of ink in there, and also to prime the feed. That's something that's depending upon how a pen is filled, like when you put a cartridge in, sometimes you need to squeeze the cartridge to get the feed primed. I mean, a lot of times people think cartridges are clean, but I'm certain they can be messy. I know from my personal experience they can be. And if you try to refill them, which I also try to do with a syringe, they're not really made to be put on an awful lot on the pen, so they may become loose, and then you end up with some ink where you don't want it to be. So this is the first writing. And I agree with the previous reviewers. This is really smooth. It just glides across the paper. You know, this is the classic Rhodia 80-gram dot pad. Sorry for the sun sun giving us some shadows there. We'll orient a little bit differently and see if we can minimize that. So the real cool thing about this is it's not a stiff nib. It has a little bit of flex to it. It doesn't open up, but I think there's a discussion for a later time about a soft nib versus a flex nib versus a hard stiff nib. I generally like a nib with a little bit of softness to it, but you don't really need to put any pressure to get this pen to write. You need a little pressure. It's not nothing, and this pen doesn't weigh much, so it works. And you can write very fast. The feed keeps up. It puts down a nice dark patch. And that's pretty wet because Noodler's Bulletproof Black dries pretty quick. It reacts to the cellulose on the paper, which gives it its permanence. So hopefully I've added something to the Metropolitan community out there. It's a great pen at a great price. It feels a little back heavy when it's posted like this, but certainly not something that's uncomfortable. Yeah, it feels better in the hand unposted from my sense of writing. So, but that's the option that you can have with this pen. So thank you for watching. I love this ink. And may all your writing experiences be pleasurable, and may you have many.